most of the people on this event are marketers, but they all have sellers that are trying to get the time and attentions of IT directors. So what, just talk us through, like, how often do you work with vendor sales? What tactics work? What do you find useful? Just open up the book and tell us everything.
Okay, well, if I can start by telling you what doesn't work.
Okay, let's do that. Let's go there.
So phone calls absolutely don't work. And over the years, I've seen the tactics of salespeople changing as we've become more aware of what phone calls are coming in. It started off being numbers that couldn't be attributed, then it was numbers that could be, then it was mobile phones, all different ways to try and get to talk to me. Ultimately, I don't answer a phone unless I recognize the number anymore, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be somebody who's calling me to waste my time. So phone calls are a complete waste of time. They're just an irritant. I would say what does work is a well-written, well-focused email. And I probably get about 100 emails a week. That's actually less than the figure you quoted, so maybe I'm fortunate, but I get about 100 a week. Probably no more than 2 or 3 a month will I pay any attention to at all. And they're the ones that have been written to me, not necessarily because people know me, but because they've actually bothered to find out a bit about my company. They've actually thought about what I might like, and they've actually, in no more than 4 or 5 paragraphs, set out, here's my product, here's the benefits of the product, and here's how you can contact me. And that works. And I will respond to those emails, even if it's a product I have no interest in, because I'm so astonished to get an email which is actually helpful and relevant and well spelled and good grammar. So that works.
Well, John, as an ex-salesman, sorry that if our emails didn't hit the right tone or weren't or the right spelling or grammar, but actually in my current role, I actually sit in the same seat as John does. I get about sort of 60 odd emails a week of vendors who are trying to pitch me some form of automation. I think one of the things that we have slightly fallen into the trap with marketers is there's lots of tools, Salesloft, Outreach, other platforms that do this wonderful automation. You can write one email and then you send it to hundreds and hundreds of people. But so many of us now can read an Outreach or a sort of a generic email. We have to invest the time to understand that. And I go back to this intent data. One of the things that in my previous organization that we used to say to our internal guys is give something away for free. So if John is in market, send him a free report, send him something, and don't ask for anything in return. Don't say, well, can I have a call? Can I have a meeting? We understand, John, that you might be interested. Here's a free report that you might find of interest. It's available here, but I'm sending it to you as an attachment. And actually what you sometimes find is, go back to your one of the statistics in the study. If someone gets something for nothing and that information and that report is relevant, they are more likely then to engage with the next email, which says, yeah, I did get your report. And I've had that done to me a couple of times where I've been sent something, read it, thought that was very interesting, and actually take the next email that's come in from that particular vendor a week later. I've actually taken a call and a meeting because actually the information was very useful. So I think that's the first thing we need to do is, go back to what's happening in the market. People are consuming more content, prepared to give it away. We ungate so much content now because people don't want, like John and his team aren't going to give away their contact details just to download a report. They can find ways to do that. I think the other thing that, when I read the report, COVID's changed the way buyers happened. And I think it's also fundamentally changed the way sellers happened. And the reason what I'm saying is, I worked in the industry for 25 years. And one of the areas that I worked in was IT security. And we were told, you never buy IT security over the telephone. Never going to happen. It's always got to be face-to-face. The customer wants to see it. Actually, for 2 and a bit years when COVID, most of the IT security vendors' revenues were significantly increased. They met their numbers and their quarterly objectives. Actually, I think what COVID proved is actually there is a way that you can now engage people in the buying process, but be cognizant of the fact that a lot of that journey is done without your input. And actually, that's what you should be doing, is giving people that journey, giving them the right content so that when John and his team are ready to engage, they know who you are. That sometimes is a little bit of a challenge to get that through to sellers, that they say, well, hang on, I don't want to give him the white paper. I want to go and, he's got to download it. I want to call him. And actually, I'm saying to them, do you know what? He's going to be able to get hold of it anyway. because we've uploaded it somewhere. Just do something for nothing. And I think the other thing, just to add to that, is a lot of the people who are doing the early level research are somewhat way down in the organization. And I know, Brent, you and I discussed it, but we had an example recently at an organization where we had an intern download some white papers, and our XDR phoned up and I said, "Oh, how did the call go?" And he said, "Oh, it was just some silly intern downloading white papers." And I said, "Okay, what was the project?" He said, "Well, no, I didn't ask him. He just said he was interested in loading some white papers. He was looking at the whole area around security." So I said, "Why don't you phone back and see who he was doing that for, whether it was just for a thesis or his project?" Phoned back 20 minutes later, came in and he said, "Oh, he was doing the research for the CIO." I said, "Probably tells me that he's probably quite influential. You probably want to spend a bit of time with that intern, because when he goes to the CIO with his report, you want to make sure that our company name's on the top of that report, not, well, that company just sent me stuff and didn't engage." And we ended up providing him about 4 or 5 different contents of information, which resulted actually in a very good productive meeting later on. But I think that's the other thing. Don't underestimate the number of people in the buying committee and the level of and title and seniority, because sometimes some people at quite a low level have quite a lot of influence.